Hello, hello. This is part 2 to a little video series I'm putting together on long-term maintenance. So if you have not watched video 1, my 10.3 year data collection, you would want to go back and check that one out first so that this makes really good sense to you. So this entire video series was inspired by one of our beautiful Half Size Me community members who asked a great question. She says, Heather, I see you lost a couple pounds. You're in the mid-range of your weight maintenance. Are you going to actively work on maintaining that? Or, what's your plan basically? And I love this question. And I really love the data collection that I just did, because I think it's really going to hopefully hit home why we shouldn't get caught up in the weeds and focus on the big picture, okay? So, big picture, I have a 10-pound range. Weeds is, am I at the low end? Am I at the middle end, or am I at the high end? And making a story about that and having a preference about that. So when we first start on this journey, we all have a preference, right? Oh, I want to be at the low end of my range. I don't want to ever go past this point. I feel safer if I have this X amount of pound window, right? We have a lot of stories and drama and fear and concerns, and I get it 100%, right? You are nervous because you're going to be maintaining and you really want to do this successfully. And gosh forbid if you're ever outside your range, what does that mean, right? So there's a lot of fear, a lot of trepidation. So when you go back and watch my first video, I break down the data. What do I have in my data collection for the last 6.3 years? And then assuming a couple things, I went ahead and adjusted it based on 10 years. And in that data, remember we talked about, I had my high range, which was 157 to 160, 38% of the time. I had my low part of my range, 150 to 153, about 27% of the time over 10 years. And then in the medium, which would have been about 154 to 156, that was 23% of the time. And I was a grand total of 18 months outside of my range, and that put me at about 14% of the time. So if I were like all other maintainers, hypothetically, and you're looking at a 10-year time period, it almost makes zero sense to get married to anything specific in that window. Okay, and I know for some of you it's not 10 pounds, maybe it's 5 pounds, maybe it's 7 pounds. I've had some people do 20. But wherever you are in those brackets, you're safe. And the sooner you can detach a worry, oh my gosh, I'm not at the low end, I'm at the middle end, I'm at the high end. When you really break this down on a pie graph, what it's really going to show is it's almost equally distributed. My high range, for me personally, was a little bit bigger of a slice, but almost cut 3 ways, right? And because what's going to happen through that process, it's called life. You're going to have people get sick. You're going to have people die. You're going to have moments where you are injured or there's a problem, or you're going to have times where things just happen. And so I would love at some point to get more people who've maintained more between 5 and 10 years to share this kind of data, because I think we could get some really good insight. But here's what I want to help you with. The 2 biggest concerns long-term maintainers or maintainers have. 1, should I actively try to maintain at the lower end of my range? Should I freak out when I'm not there? That's kind of like 1, right? The second one is, oh my God, I'm outside my range. This is the beginning of the end. I'm doomed to gain it all back. Well, wait a second. I had 18 months where I was outside of my range, right? So here's what you can assess just from my data. Like, we'll just pretend, because I know this is hard to come by, so let's just go based off what we know. If I'm seeing kind of a fairly even distribution between middle, high, and low, and I'm seeing a certain percentage of the time I'm outside of my range, maybe we should kind of expect that that's going to happen. Maybe we should expect that we're never going to stay in one specific range of our weight maintenance goal, okay? And maybe we should also expect that at some point we might drift outside of it. And it's more important what you do about it than kind of whether it happens or not, right? So when I started to drift out of my range, I reached out to the Half Size Me community. I started becoming more accountable to myself. I started sharing every single week, whether anyone said anything or not, it didn't matter. I was going to show up for myself, right? But I addressed it. I didn't stop doing my habits and behaviors. I didn't freak out. I didn't fade away and, think, okay, when I get this back under control, then I'm going to show back up. No, I called myself on it. I shared, I owned it, I worked on it, and I got back out. But if we're talking 10.3 years of data, you trying desperately to grasp on to one number and hold on for dear life, it's really just going to drive you a little bonkers, right? So what if you didn't do that? What if you lovingly accepted your range and said, as long as I'm in these two bars, because that's kind of how I got through these last 10 years. Here's my goalposts. This is where I want to stay. When I saw for a while I was out of it, I reached out for help and support. I worked on getting back in the range. But getting dramatic about where you fall in the range, really not helpful. And here's why. Your lower brain is always looking for something to fix. It's always seeking a new problem. So if my range is 150 to 160, and I think being at 157 is bad, it's not okay, there's something wrong with it, my lower brain's going to go into high drive to fix the problem. It's going to create this belief I've got to diet down. It's going to create this, I got to restrict, I got to get there. And all of that drama, all of those fearful thoughts, all of the things that basically lead you to feeling, desperate, panicky, all that, it actually ironically leads you to eating to comfort yourself. It's totally not a very good way. And I did it for a while, so don't get me wrong. We all do it. But then kind of starting to settle in to okay, this is my range. I just have to honor the range. When I see I'm not in said range, I'm going to make some adjustments. I'm going to change some habits. But the short answer to the community member who asked this question, I don't do that anymore. I change my habits. Where my weight goes, it goes. I don't desperately try to hold on to one specific part of my weight range because I know that all that desperation thoughts about it, thinking that something's got to change, something's got to be fixed, my lower brain just kind of goes crazy with that it doesn't really serve me. It would be better for me to say, yes, I am maintaining between 150 and 160 wherever I fall. Totally cool, totally safe, totally wonderful. Because when I look at the big picture, 10 plus years of data, it doesn't really matter, okay? I'm seeing a fairly even distribution, a little bit, again, going more towards the high end, but it's not that big of a deal. And in all honesty, you want to know how you change your thinking about it? Not once in the last 10 years was I much more than 3 pounds outside of my weight maintenance range. When I look at my past, all the years of yo-yo dieting, all the years of binging and restricting, all the years of cycling weight and needing different clothing sizes, never once in the last 10.3 years has that happened. Yes, my weight hasn't always exactly been where I want it to be, but it's never been over 300 pounds. Never caused me to have to go to a different size of clothing. It's always been within a certain range. So I hope this message helps. I hope this thought process helps. And more than anything, I hope the data helps, because keep in mind, I get it. You feel like you're kind of embarking on new territory, new water, and there's not a whole lot of evidence to share to where you say, okay, this is normal. What I would say to somebody, don't get married to any one specific number in your weight range. Embrace all of them. Number 2, expect that at least a small portion of your maintenance journey, you will be outside that range. All your job is to do, not to shrink, hide away, hope it gets better, to be active, reach out for support, share more, and get the support, make some changes to your habits to get back into your range. That's your only job. That's all you want to focus on. If you get into the micromanaging in the weeds, saying I should be here, I should be there, lower brain chatter kicks in, panic, desperation, fear, and then before you know it, you're self-sabotaging all over the place, okay? So I hope this helps. And then there'll be a short third video I'm going to attach to this little series that I would like to put a shout out to all long-term maintainers and maybe get you guys to help me with a little science project I'm working on. All right, you guys have a great day. Please share these 2 videos. Even if all the other stuff you think, I don't know if anyone's gonna want this. If somebody's on their weight loss journey and they're struggling with this idea of losing weight, regaining weight, they're maybe maintaining themselves, this data is so valuable. I wish somebody had done something like this when I was starting. If I could have heard another maintainer that's been maintaining for 10 years say this to me, I could have breathed a little easier. You know what I mean? I could have felt a little bit more comfortable in not thinking every day I had to walk on eggshells. Every day what I was going to do was going to mess everything up. Like, there was a lot of fear in those first few years. And I'm hoping that's hearing this from that 10-year perspective, knowing that you could expect all of these things to happen, gives you a little bit of comfort and helps you in your journey. I really, really do. So please do share video 1, video 2. And if you know a long-term maintainer, somebody who's been doing it 5 or 10, five or more years, definitely share them, because especially this next video that's going to come out in the series, I'd love to see if they could maybe pitch in and help me with something. All right, you guys have a great day. Please like and subscribe and share, and I'll talk to you soon.